So RVing is always a pleasure, a lot of fun, but with any activity out there, there's always a risk, there's always danger. So in this video, we're gonna give you 8 things you can do that may save your life when you're RVing.
So in this video, we're going to talk about all different scenarios. A lot of people like to camp in the mountains and go hiking. A lot of people like to camp near the ocean. All different scenarios.
Like resorts like us.
Right.
But the only place you can get lost is on the way to the bathroom.
Right. We like to camp everywhere. But we're going to address kind of a little something in each different area.
So before we start this video, before we give you these tips, this is a disclaimer, guys. We are not like outbackers, off the grid. We're not that. And honestly, a lot of these things probably wouldn't be in that scenario.
Well, we hope.
Well, no, I'm not backpacking in Alaska without a God. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. I'm not that adventurous. But there are some RVers out there that will do that. So these are just general tips, nothing that we've made up. The knowledge is out there. It's just stuff that we found that if we do ever find ourselves lost, which hopefully we won't, we have these tips that we would use and that also maybe you could use. So what's the first one?
So the first one is hiking. Now, we love to go hiking. So campground we're at right now has tons of hiking trails. We wouldn't really go alone. And
There's not places to get lost here.
Yeah,
you're walking up, you'll wind up on a highway.
Right. But many places you can easily get lost. So there's a number of things. You want to make sure that you always go prepared when you're hiking. You want to make sure you have, well, water is important. You want to have a cell phone. Now, in terms of cell phone, if you don't have cell signal, kind of out of luck.
So well.
But you can dial 911 without a SIM card, so keep that in mind. If you get lost, they always say to stay where you are. Don't try to find your way back because you'll probably wind up getting even more lost.
So a couple more tips, and again, some of these are common sense. You want to make sure if you're going out alone, which some people do, but try to travel in a group. If you're going out alone, you want to know where people need to know where you were at. Like if you go missing, like where was the last place this person said they were going to be? That's pretty important. Regarding the cell phone, yes, if there's no signal, you're out of luck. However, if you're really out in the middle of nowhere, and this is something that you do a lot, you might want to invest in a satellite phone. Satellite phones will work as long as there's a shot of the sky. They're going to work. They're usually very expensive. The data plans are very expensive, but they're only used for emergencies, right? So if that's something that you're doing a lot and you're really out in the backwoods, satellite phone may be a good idea.
Right. Another thing to think about too is maybe bringing a small mirror, right? If you are out in the middle of nowhere by yourself and you have a mirror and you can reflect, right? And kind of shoot up signals to planes. You kind of get what I'm saying there, right? And then there's kind of a universal signal of things in threes. So 3, I'm not going to say, gunshots or 3 horn beeps or anything like that. So 3 flashlight flicks, right? So this way you'll be able to, it's almost like a Morse code or, to kind of alert, but make sure you pause in between. So you would do 1, 2, 3, pause, and just repetitive like that to send out some sort of signal that hopefully somebody sees that you are in distress. Number 2 is something that we haven't done, but I cannot wait to do it. We can get this one to relax about the salt in the water, is to camp near the ocean.
In sand?
Yeah, I know. Couple things. You're in the ocean, you're parked. Oh, I can't wait to do that. You go in the ocean. Couple things just to keep in mind. If you get caught in a riptide, you always want to swim parallel. A lot of times people panic and they try to start swimming this way, and that's the worst thing you can do because you can get sucked out to sea. Swim parallel to the current.
I think before we even get into that, know your own abilities, right? Like if you're not a good, if you were a good swimmer when you were 8 and now you're 55 and you haven't swam since then, maybe not a good idea to go out like doing the breaststroke in the ocean. Kind of know your own abilities. Also a good idea is go out with somebody else, especially if there's no lifeguards or anything.
Or just enjoy the water from the RV.
Enjoy the water. Yeah, exactly. Another good thing to have, especially by the water, but really all the time, we have one in our RV, a NOAA radio, right? A NOAA radio will give you alerts, weather alerts, if there's some kind of dangerous weather in your area, whether that's a tornado, a hurricane, tsunami, cyclone, whatever they call them. We just upgraded our 2-way radios. The last ones we had, battery just wasn't charging anymore. But the new radios we got, we'll put the link below. In addition to be a 2-way radio, it has a NOAA station on it. So when we're in the RV, we just keep it powered on in the charger. And if there's any alerts, which has actually happened in my car already, it'll give you a severe thunderstorm warning. Just the alert comes through, especially on an RV. RV, not only by water, everywhere you should have a NOAA radio. All right, so the next one may save the life if you have pets, or may actually save the life of your RV. When you leave your RV, if it is equipped with propane, shut the propane off. Now, it may save your life if you're going down the road. We highly suggest, guys, if you're going down the road, shut the propane off. Why? Because you can spring a leak in your propane, get into a crash. I don't know if you've ever seen propane. I don't want to suggest doing this test, but it's already happened. If you have a gas grill, close the top, turn the propane on and let it go there for 5-10 seconds and then light it up and it's like poof! Imagine that with a huge, 28-gallon propane tank leaking and then a spark hits. That could be a big problem. So we would suggest, and they actually told us to you in your RV inspector class, right?
Yep.
When you're going down the road, shut the propane off. When you leave your RV, shut the propane off.
And bridges and tunnels don't allow it
Actually, a lot of them don't even allow it
yeah.
if you have to shut your propane off to even go through those tunnels and bridges.
So the next one is choking if you're alone. Very scary, very scary. Unfortunately, you'll read online, like you can bend over a chair and things like that and try to perform like, Heimlich on yourself.
Heimlich works if like somebody's doing it on you, yeah.
First thing you want to do, call 911, run outside, get off your RV. If you see camping neighbors, let them know that you're choking so at least they can come and try to assist you.
Yeah, why do we tell you go outside? Well, dial 911 and leave it on, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens is if it is an unanswered 911 call, the police, somebody will get dispatched to your location, and actually with 911 on your phone, they can see what your location is. More than likely you're going to pass out, or you will if you're not getting air. Hopefully help can get to you within those couple of minutes, but that's really your best chance. And and it's a crappy situation, but that is your best chance for survival. All right, so the next one is not really life-saving, but it could save you from a really bad day. It could save the life of your RV. It's going to be some additional traction. Now, this has already happened to us. This is not going to work so much in mud, but it will work on maybe slippery conditions if you're out and about and you get caught in snow. Those times, spring, fall, you never know. So a couple things you can do. You can keep some boards, some extra boards, some rubber pads that you can put under your tires, motorhomes or rear-wheel drive, just to give you enough traction to move. If you sink in mud, do not continue to spin your wheels, because if you continue to spin your wheels, you will sink more and more, and it's not going to work. Another thing we would suggest, a lot of people tow SUVs or they tow pickups. Keep some tow straps. Even if you don't tow that, keep tow straps, because more than likely if you're at a campground, somebody is going to have a heavy duty truck, and if you have tow straps, which we actually have, they'll be able to tow you out. How do we know this? Because we got stuck in mud one time. We don't have it on film, but it did happen, and we didn't have tow straps, but our neighbor next door did have tow straps. And what's crazy is I carry tow straps in my Ram. We had our Mustang, didn't even think of it, and I didn't have tow strap, but they got us out.
They were great camping neighbors.
Yeah, listen, it saved us. They got us out quick, and it saved us probably, well, we have CoachNet, but it would save us a lot of time waiting. If you didn't have CoachNet, a lot of money to get you towed out. All
right, next one. Bowser's having a moment. He's very playful right now. So the next one has to do with dogs, as he kicks me. This is a big problem with people. 4.5 million people per year get bitten by dogs. Many, well, not many, but a large number.
Many they get you calls.
Are fatal, right? And yes, many call us for training. Problem a lot of times is that people don't know how to read dog body language. People think I had dogs all my life, I this and that. Dog body language can be very intricate, and this is what we go to school for years to study. And this is the point I want to make here. A wagging tail does not always mean that a dog is friendly. There's all different kinds of wags. If you see a wag and it's up, and it looks like a flagpole and it's stiff and that kind of thing, that is not good. Dogs can be barking and having stressful time and still be wagging their tail, all right? Like right now is not one of those times, okay? Be very careful about judging what a dog looks like before you approach. And here's my next thing. Don't approach a dog. Let the dog come to you, okay? Just be very, very careful when you're dealing with dogs and thinking that you know exactly what they're thinking, because many times that's just not the case.
All right, so the next one has to do with this right here. This is a door, for those of you that don't know. This is both for home and your RV, but since we're an RV channel, we're going to talk about the RV. So you see the doors closed. Let's go inside.
Honey, this is why people come to our channel.
That's right.
Because they learn things like that.
Well, we keep the door closed for two reasons. Number one, you see this right here. She's trying to get in. So we keep the door closed so they don't have a feast in here when we're gone. But when we sleep, we actually have Sierra with us. Yes, Bazer's out in the crate. We keep the door closed. Why? Let's do with RV fires. Now, what are the chances of you having an RV fire? They're pretty slim, right? But it does happen. It happened to our friend Andrew Steele. RV fire. Imagine RV fire at night when you're sleeping. What keeping a door closed does is two things. Number one, it slows down the spread of the fire and it slows down the spread of smoke. Smoke is the critical factor, will kill you before a fire does. Is this going to stop flames coming through? No, eventually it's going to come through, but it's going to slow it down enough, hopefully, to give you enough time to get out exit number one, right, to my left, or exit number 2 to our rear. It's just buying you a little bit of time.
Although I'd probably run out there to save Bowser. But if people don't have dogs, right? Everything is back here. It's a great thing
I would
to do.
suggest that if there's a smoke condition, I hate to say this, right? You have to save your life first. You and your kids, everything comes next. Right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is just having enough backup of things that you would need that are pretty critical. So for example, you know, we go on a longer trip, and we don't really go on trips that are like that long. We always have a full tank of water, empty, black and gray. We always have at least, you know, case and a half of water, a couple of days of food. Propane's always full. Fuel, we don't let it drop below half a tank when we're out on the road. This is the kind of things that we're talking about. Some other things, right?
You always want to have a first aid kit with you. A tourniquet, really important. Always carry a flashlight with you.
At least one, multiple. We have multiple flashlights, headlamps, because one may not work. If you're out hiking or you're tent camping, maybe a backup battery, right? That's always a good idea. We have the Delta Pro that we actually use that a lot when we go to RV shows because it's a big battery and it runs a lot of different things.
And also too, if you're out hiking or by yourself, carry a whistle.
Something that makes noise.
Yeah, something loud. So if you do happen to get lost, that can always help.
Air horn, like I said earlier, any of those things will work. So in the comments below, put some of your tips for emergencies. What have you used? Have you been into any emergencies where you didn't have items you wish you did, or you were prepared and you had the items and you took care of that? Put it in the comments below. And for myself and MJ, we thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the road.